Okay, thanks for tuning in to a Saturday night edition here on Proline TV of the NASCAR Starting Lineup Report. I'm your host, Greg DePalma, and still not 100%, but I'm good enough. So what you're looking at right now is these are the picks that we made and we make every Tuesday. So CJ Verdun, our lead analyst here for NASCAR and motorsports, who is associated, of course, due to rotowire.com. And you can check out his DFS report for this week's race, which comes out every Friday. You can check it out right now. Link in the description of this video. So how about it? You could also check out the link for the show that we do every Tuesday. This is where the picks come from. And this is the show CJ does with me. We go over all the drivers, all the early odds, everything else that we think is very important to the race at hand. And this should be a pretty big race. We hope it's a good one. It normally is not, just hasn't been at the Brickyard, but it's been a little bit more interesting, thank goodness, as far as the next gen, just because of wrecks. There have been quite a bit of wrecks here the last couple of years, so makes things a little bit easier. Probably fine line with the tires, and that's what will get you. A little bit more aggressive driving as well. Everybody wants to kiss the bricks. Okay, so we had practice yesterday. Keep that in mind. Practice was Friday. Qualifying was today. And we only have 2 races to go on, so keep that in mind. 2 races to go on with the next gen. And so it's not a lot. We do know it is important on these particular tracks. The most similar track, by the way, is Pocono. Okay, so you do want to take a look at what happened at Pocono this year, and that'll help you a little bit with handicapping this race. The 2 starting lineup ranks for positions overall for the winners next gen. We're 2nd and 5th. Okay, so you have to start in the top 5 according to next gen, but we only have 2 races to go on. Practice was 14th and 6th. So if you just go on 2 races, you don't want to start outside the top 5 and you don't want to have a practice run outside the top 14. I wouldn't do that with only 2 races, but it does give you a little bit of an example. Toyota has also been the most dominant manufacturer the first 2 years. And I don't think a whole lot has changed after what we saw this weekend. And again, like I said, keep an eye on Pocono. In-season challenge championship. We went over that on Tuesday. Very interesting this week with Todd Gilliland, a 3-1 pick against Ryan Blaney. Now, what was interesting is that Todd Gilliland, this is his best track. He's finished 6th in both years here, which is crazy. And so we figured, hey, 3-1 for Todd Gilliland, that's not bad because he doesn't have to win the race. Maybe finally something happens poorly. Maybe Ryan Blaney had too big of a run that eventually something's going to happen to Blaney. He's been 11th or better in 11 straight races. So if this is the race that Ryan Blaney has an issue, then maybe Gilliland can capitalize. So 3-1 is not a bad number. Okay. Let's go through it. And again, these were our picks. So I don't know. I could say that all these picks, I can't speak for CJ, but Hamlin and Briscoe still look okay. Briscoe's practice speed, we'll get into that. Cindric, kind of disappointing. No question about it. I was a little bit disappointed with Keselowski. Not entirely disappointed with Blaney. And then John Hunter Nemechek, fine. Absolutely fine. But we'll go over whether or not, of course, I can't speak for CJ, but I'll go over whether or not there were other options that I prefer besides these 3 picks from earlier in the week. All right, let's take a look at qualifying from today. And this is really not a big surprise to see Carson Hocevar at the top. We talked on Tuesday about Hocevar being a pretty decent option when we were going over some drivers to keep an eye on. He was really right there as far as a driver that we would have potentially picked. He was 22-1 at the time, and he ends up on the pole. So, and again, remember, Carson is historically, he's a good qualifier. He's good in practice. He does good on the weekends. Normally everything's on Saturday. He does good on Saturdays. And now he's starting to do good on Sundays too. Then you have Daniel Suarez, who is in a much more interesting position starting second, because in his first two races here, Suarez has started 25th and 31st, and he does have one top 10. Now he gets to start second. So I think that's really, really good for him. The odds have completely dropped, though. He was 80-1 on Tuesday. He's now 33-1 now. And we'll go over the odds in just a minute. Then you got Reddick and Gibbs, Hanlon. Those are no big surprises there, as well as Kyle Larson, 10th. McDowell, probably not a surprise either. He's also good on Saturdays. Corey Heim just continues to impress whenever given the opportunity. And then you see Bowman and AJ. And then the rest, Briscoe's in a good spot. Blaney's in so is Jones. Again, I think Keselowski's fine. So is John Hunter. Logano's not going to win 2 straight. Byron, Chastain, Bell, a little bit further back than they'd like. So is Elliott. Bubba wound up banging into the wall. Not good. But actually, that was during practice. So he really has not had a good couple of days so far. And then there you see the rest of the field. Cindric, pretty disappointing at 35th. And what we gauged from qualifying was that as far as the best, you got the 2 Chevys up front on the front row. But then right after that, so Toyota has 4 of the top 7. The Ford's really the one that had a bad weekend. Okay, no drivers in the top 12. You have to go to Ryan Blaney, 13th for the first Ford. Okay, let's go to practice. And here you see Christopher Bell, John Hunter. Great practices yesterday to put themselves in good position that even though they weren't able to follow it up today in qualifying, this is good. It was a long practice day, so they probably have to feel pretty good about this. Gibbs had a good weekend overall. Jones also needed this situation here. He's 4th. Hamlin and Larson, more top 10s. Hocevar, top 10s. Reddick, top 10s. Blaney, a little bit better here. There's Suarez again. Byron, a little bit better. That was important there. And further on, Bubba, a little bit better. Elliott, a little bit better. Logano, not a good weekend. Not a good practice session for Keselowski. And Briscoe, really slow on Friday. Not good. Bowman had a slow day on Friday. And there you go. All right, now let's go to the odds. Here's your top 10. And there you see it, like I said, with Hocevar and Suarez. So Hocevar was 22-1. Now he's 10. And I probably, because we talked about it on Tuesday, that was the time to take him. You could have got him at 22-1. You should have expected he was going to have a good day today. And now at 10-1, I think the value was gone. It's an okay price. Not talking anybody out of it. It's just unfortunate that you couldn't have grabbed him, because if you liked Carson Hocevar, you should have gone with him before qualifying. Ty Gibbs, his odds are solid. They really didn't drop. Well, I don't think they dropped too much, did they? Where was he overall? All right, they dropped a little bit. He was 17-1. He's now 10-1. And the thing with Gibbs, he was the only driver besides Denny Hamlin to have both of his speeds Friday and Saturday in the top 5. So that's good, but there's a bad thing to this about Ty Gibbs. Again, not only have you lost 7 points from 17 to 10-1, but keep in mind, Ty Gibbs is minus 33 positions in the 2 years here at the Brickyard. Starting up front has not been foreign to Ty Gibbs at this track. He started 5th last year, finished 21st. He started 6th in 2024 and finished 23rd. He was ninth at Pocono. He should have a good day. I just question whether or not he's a good value or even a good fantasy play. Denny's still 3-1, which, to tell you the truth, considering he's never won a Brickyard before, and he just kind of maybe backed up anybody's feeling that he could, like CJ, that, hey, I'm ready for this. I think it's okay. This is that situation I often talk about, that it's the rare circumstances when I say, you know what, 3-1, okay, I'll go with that. I'll make him my top driver, add a couple of long shots just in case, and go there. I think it's worth it. Denny's running out of chances to win his first ever Brickyard, and I think this would be a great opportunity for him to do that at 3-1. He's actually plus 350. So I think you want to grab that as quickly as you can if you're going to go with Denny, because it's going to keep dipping between now and race day and the green flag tomorrow. McDowell, not really looking at McDowell. He doesn't have anything here as far as his history. It hasn't really been a great year for McDowell. Corey Heim, I've said before, if he's going to beat me twice in his rookie season, he's going to beat me twice. I just not going to do about it. That would just be a crazy thing, especially at the Brickyard. Bowman, even though he had a good run here, this is actually not been a good track for Bowman. If you take a look overall at his history, and he made the announcement, he'll be leaving at the end of 2027. So far, this is his best starting position, which is a good sign. The best he ever started was 13th in 2024, ended up 31st. He had a 9th place finish last year, which was good from the 21st position, but he was 27th at Pocono. Look, he's 80-1. I don't think he's the worst idea in the world for a buck or two, but I don't really look at the Hendrick drivers this weekend. I'm not very impressed by them. I just think they're just okay. So I think there are much, much better options. AJ, if you look at AJ, he's started in the top 15, including 9th last year in both races, and he's never finished in the top 20. So he had a really good run in 2024, but didn't finish the job. Look, I have no problem putting a buck on Bowman and AJ. That's a lot of money there for two drivers that are qualifying inside the top 10. And a matter of fact, I believe, AJ was 9th last year, but he finished 23rd. But still, as good as AJ was in 2024, and these are big numbers, why not? Kyle Larson, 5-1. And I'm not surprised that the odds are 5-1, except for the fact that he was 7-1 when we did the show on Tuesday. I don't really see why his odds have gone down. He won the race in 2024. We went over that race. He really should never have won that race. But he got very lucky because Kozlowski bailed out before the green flag on the last lap run, basically, which was that was. I think they had another restart, but it didn't matter. You had the inside track on the restart, you're going to win. And he was third. So he went from third to first. It was just, it was a bad situation for Ryan Blaney. Anyway, he came back and finished second last year, but keep in mind, he's only led 27 laps in the two races at the Brickyard. So it's not like he's had this dominant run. 5th at Pocono, led 24 laps. Look, he's a solid driver here, but you are going into a situation with a driver that has not won in a very long time. And you're getting 5-1. Like, why would I take Kyle Larson at 5-1 when I could take Denny Hamlin at plus 350? Let's move on. Let's go to the top contenders. And Briscoe, unfortunately, was really slow on Friday. And considering that he started from the pole last year, led 34 laps, and only finished 18th, and that was with Joe Gibbs, that's not a good sign. 12th at Pocono as well. And you're getting no value at 12-1. But you are getting a ton of value at Ryan Blaney. There is no way these odds can stay like this. If somehow you can get Ryan Blaney right now at 16-1 or even 14-1, you should just run and grab it. I just don't know. I don't know why he's getting 16-1. If you look at Blaney, I know he doesn't have a win here, but who cares? He was third in 2024. Again, like I said, if things would have worked out the way they should have, Blaney should have been able to move into the option of first on the restart. And if that would have happened, he would have won the race, just like Larson. So he would have already had a win here. But it was a terrible situation that occurred. And who knows if Keselowski had gone for it and started, and after a half a lap ran out of gas, well, Ryan Blaney's going to take the lead and win the race. So it's like the worst possible situation happened for Blaney, and that's it, and that deal in 2024, but still finished third. Last year, he starts 24th, leads 14 laps, and finishes 7th. He's on the best run of any driver, 11 straight finishes of 11th or better. He's coming off a win a couple of weeks ago, and he was 10th at Pocono. So I think he's a good fantasy driver, and it's because of his position, and he is a great value at 16-1. Jones is also one to watch. Jones at 40-1. And we talked about his 4th place practice run. That's really encouraging. If you take a look at Eric Jones and his history here, he doesn't have anything to show for in 2024, but last year he started 3rd. Now he had a crash on lap 89. So nobody knows what would have happened there, but the 3rd tells you he had some speed. He was also 6th at Pocono, and he was 90-1 in this race last year. Okay, that shows you how much more respect and better he's been on these types of tracks this year. So, if you take a look at also his teammate, my official long shot, John Hunter Nemechek, who's starting 17th, his practice run, as we showed you, was 2nd. So you got Jones and John Hunter, 2 top 5 practice runs. So they're dialed in on the long run. And Hunter's getting 100-1. So I really like both of them. And the reason I liked John Hunter on Tuesday is a couple of reasons. At this track, he started 10th in 2024, led 16 laps, and ended back because of a late crash. Last year, he led no laps, but started 36th and finished 12th. Okay, so he gained 24 positions last year. He was also 4th at Pocono, leading 42 laps. So there's a lot to like about Jones and John Hunter, both picking them and also fantasy, which we'll get into in a little bit. Also, Keselowski, my 2nd pick from Tuesday. Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, sure, as far as the speeds are concerned. No question. I was hoping for a lot better than that. Last week was a good sign that maybe he's getting out of this rut, and he was 5th last year, and he started 14th. Okay, so I still think he's a pretty decent option. He led 35 laps in the race that we talked about in 2024 when he ducked out because he would have ran out of gas, and he had to lead with whatever it was, a couple laps to go. So he's done really well here in the 2 years. He's coming off a good result last week, first good result in a while. And I'm at 66-1, definitely playing him. So I'm still okay with him. Not sure I would make him a second choice, but it definitely would make him a long shot pick. Logano does not have a good history here. So, and he had a really slow couple of days. So there's really no reason after a win last week to think that he's going to go back to back. William Byron is somebody that has not been, he's been a terrible fantasy driver here. Minus 44 in his career in just 2 races. So he started in the top 10 in both 4th and 6th races here. Now he's starting 21st. And then his practice speed, what was his practice speed? His practice speed was 11th. So he didn't even get into the top 10. So and he's 12-1. Really? It's sort of like Briscoe in a way. It's like, and even Larson. I mean, some of these odds are like, no, I'm getting no value with several of these drivers that are all capable of winning. We know that. It's just that the value is really bad. Chastain has had an awful year, and nothing really happened today at all. And really, if you take a look at his history here, even though he's led laps, he's done nothing really to contend for a win, and he's way back here. So the practice speed was a little bit better, but once again, nothing to show for it. Christopher Bell. Now, this is interesting because with the 23rd spot, he becomes an excellent fantasy pick. Now, that's the good news. Okay, because take a look at Christopher Bell. He's so overdue for a win. He was 4th in 2024 from the 18th position and 8th last year from the 16th position. So he's gained 20 spots in 2 years. So that's good fantasy. He led 18 laps at Pocono. Okay, did not finish well though, but still had a decent car that day. The problem is, okay, fantasy excellent. I'm going to play him. The problem is, here we go again. It's 10-1. Like, wait a second. Why is Christopher Bell 10-1 starting 23rd and Ryan Blaney is 16-1 starting 13th? Now, the only thing I can think about it is, well, one's driving a Toyota and the other's driving a Ford. But the other one that's driving a Ford has been the best Ford. And that driver also is he's on a nice little run right now, and it's proven before he can win these races, and it's been good here. So yeah, that's why I'm saying, in my opinion, I think Christopher Bell should be about 12 to 14-1, just like Ryan Blaney should be, right around there, 12 to 14-1. But again, I think Bell's an excellent fantasy choice. I just 10-1 to win the race from the 23rd position. I know it's great that he ended up with the fastest car in practice, but that did not bode well for him last week. Had the fastest car. It just didn't work. And I need a little bit more than 10-1 for that. Elliott does not look good at this point. Elliott's slow all weekend so far. And he does have just a 10th place and a 13th place finish to show for his time at the Brickyard. He was also 11th at Pocono this year. Wallace is not going to win back-to-back races at the Brickyard, so you can throw that out. He's had a good car here. So don't get me wrong. It's just that back-to-back ain't going to happen the way that he's looked today. He was 40-1 last year when he won the race. Now he is 20-1, which he should be. I get it. Okay. But you got him last year. Look, if you did get him last year, sure, you pick him again this year. I always do that stuff. But if you didn't pick him last year, you don't take him this year. And in Austin Cindric, he's still, I think, got to be somebody that is worth a buck or two as a long shot because he's big number. And get this, in 2024, he started 38th and finished 7th. Okay, so I think that's still a really good fantasy pick. Last year, he started 10th and led the most laps, 40. He had a tire issue that if that did not occur, might have won the race. How do we know? So, and that's why I'm saying when I opened the show, the tire issues, you just don't know what's going to go on out there on Sunday. And that's why you got to be very careful when it comes to value. Even Denny Hamlin at 3.5-1. It's a little bit of a risk considering any of these drivers can hit that tire issue. Cindric, by the way, 14th at Pocono. The other driver I wanted to point out was Gilliland, since I don't have him on the screen here as a top contender. Unfortunately, he's starting 36th in his matchup with Blaney. The good news is for fantasy reasons. Okay, that's good because he's starting 36th. All right. 28th in practice, though. So it would have been really good if he would have been in the top 20 there. He's 400-1 to win the race. If I had a lot of money in my account, I'd throw a buck on him. Why not? Considering his 2 6th place finishes. The other thing is, unfortunately, if you take a look at Gilliland's 2 years here, when he's done well, his qualifying was 24th and 19th. So here he's a lot farther back. All right. So I tell you what, let's say, who would I pick as my second choice right now? You know what? I'd probably take Blaney right now as my second choice, but I already have him as my first choice, so I can't do that. I'm trying to say, would I have a new first and move Blaney to second? Let's see. Any of these drivers? Even if I had a Hamlin at 3-1, having Blaney at 16-1, that's not bad. That's still good value there. So maybe I would do that. Maybe I'd switch that. But if I didn't, and I didn't go for someone like so obvious as Denny Hamlin, then a new driver I would bump in here would be Jones. That's not on our picks. He's got a big number. And hey, Bubba Wallace won last year. So who knows? Maybe this is going to be a track for sleepers and long shots. Let's go to the DFS driver lineup. And this is going to be a good one because there are a lot of long shots, a lot of bargains. All right. Starting with, there's Gilliland at 5,900. I don't think we need him. But let's see. Definitely Nemechek at 66. Moving on. Suarez at 69 is a good option. Again, remember, he's starting second now. And this should be a good track for Suarez. Let's see. There's Jones. He's a definite. Okay, I'd have Jones and Nemechek together there. There's another one, Cindric. I get him all the way back at 35th. And his history here. Now it gets a little bit tougher, but I have to really go with Bell for sure. Starting 23rd, fastest in practice. I feel good about that. That leaves me with 11-3. Wow. Does that leave me with 11-3? Well, that means I could take anybody. Wow, that was pretty cool. So do I take Blaney, who starts 13th, Hamlin 5th? Yeah, I think Hamlin was probably the way to go. I could do that, can't I? Wow. So I can get Hamlin, Bell, and then these four sleepers, long shots. Nemechek, Suarez, Jones, and Cindric. So again, I think Blaney's a good option up there as well. I would go Blaney over Larson, Reddick. Look, the deal with Reddick, I don't think I have to keep harping on this. I've been saying this for weeks. He's in a rut, and until he gets out of the rut, I'm not taking him. So once he does, we'll be back on Reddick. But no, not at this point. He's had a good run 2 years ago. He finished second, was on the pole, led the most laps, 40. But last year, started fourth, bad finish, came back with a second at Pocono. So you would expect this should be a good, look at his numbers, third in qualifying, eighth in practice. This should be a good week, a good race for him. But the way things are going, he's got to turn it around, especially with the other options that we have available to us. And other drivers who are not dealing with the issues that he's dealing with. So again, he's a good option, but that's just the way that I handicap these races. When I have other options, I'm not going with the driver. I don't care who it is, including my boy. I don't go with drivers that are going through hard times. But so Blaney would be, but again, he's more expensive. So, but as far as Larson, Blaney, and Hamlin, I would do that order. I would do Hamlin, Blaney, and then Larson. As far as Reddick or Larson, that's interesting. I might still take Larson because I'm gaining 7 positions on him. Who else? Let's see. Who else sticks up? Gibbs. He's just been such a bad fantasy option. But if you really believe that he's going to buck that and go out and finish the job, it's his best year, he's not the same driver, I hear it. Then at 88, On the salary, he's an option. Hocevar's an option, 8,300. I just couldn't afford him. I mean, if like for instance, if Cindric, like if I dropped Cindric and wanted to play Hocevar, I couldn't. Like what I could do, and let's just say I changed my mind after we hang up, and I say, you know what, I'm going to go Blaney and Hocevar instead of Hamlin and Cindric. That's something to consider. That's what I could do. But I don't know. Hocevar, it's a long race. The good news, if you take Hocevar in this situation, if I go Hocevar Blaney over Cindric and Hamlin, is I might be able to get Hocevar leading a lot of laps early. And that could be really important, as we know. I mean, Logano came through for me big time last week in my fantasy team and my fantasy lineup. I mean, we were okay, but I wouldn't have even made what I made last week if it wasn't for Logano. He was the main reason with all the laps he led. Yeah, and then once you get past here, there's nobody because I've got all these guys. I've got all these like really bonus sleeper bargains. Even Keselowski does not stick out great to me based on what he did so far coming in at 27. At least it's not like if I needed to save and I was looking for someone at that range, then sure, I'm okay with taking Keselowski and putting him in there. So there you go. I mean, it's for me, it's I'm gonna have to think about it. And I have to think about whether or not. Maybe I just go with a second lineup. It's probably what I'll do. Maybe just go to a second lineup and do Blaney, Hocevar instead of Hamlin and Cindric. Okay, so that is going to wrap it up. And don't forget to check us back again on Tuesday when we do it all again. We only have a few more of these races in the regular season to go. We are going to, what's coming up on Tuesday? What is it? Iowa, maybe? Is that what's coming up? So there, what do we have? Like Iowa and, what do we have? Iowa, Richmond, and then what's the other race before Daytona? Let me bring it up here. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, Iowa, Richmond. Oh, the one I'm missing is New Hampshire. So, yeah, it's Iowa, Richmond, New Hampshire, and then Daytona. So, that's the big one. That should be a lot of fun. That's on August 29th. Now, check with CJ and see if he's around. Maybe he will be available to do a live. Because when we did that, what was it, last year or the year before? When we did our live coverage and Ryan Blaney won the race, it was just we've only done it once and Blaney won. And it was, again, maybe that was the race. It was one of the three super speedway races. It was either Atlanta, Daytona, or Talladega. I forget which one it was, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I'm going to ask, unfortunately, it's not going to work out like that again for me. Maybe not, but I shouldn't say that. If I pick a race like that, Blaney's got a good chance. But we'll see. Hopefully we'll be able to hook up with CJ and do something like that again. That was a lot of fun. All right. Anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see everybody again on Tuesday. Don't forget links in the description for CJ's work at rotowire.com. His DFS report is available there. I'll see everybody again also next week, besides here at Proline with the NASCAR show on Tuesday, of the horse racing show on Thursday. Some really big races going on the next few weeks. And then horse racing. And then, of course, all week, next week, 5 days a week, the R-Lads Football Network. If you're into the NFL or college football, you can follow me over there. Things are going to get really juicy now with training camps opening up all over the country in the NFL and college football over the next couple of weeks. So if you're a football fan, this is just the start. This is not the official start, but this is when everybody starts to really understand that it's coming soon, and we're all really getting excited about it. Have a great race day tomorrow. Best of luck. And we will see everyone again here real soon.